Today's lesson is just a continuation of what we did in our previous lesson. Remember, in our previous lesson, we were able to identify and describe the regions in the Venn diagram in a two-set problem. And then we were able to establish the equations or the formula that is going to aid us in solving questions in two-set problem. So we have our first example. Let's go through it and then see how best we can solve it. In a class of 60 students, 40 play football and then 25 play hockey. Each student play at least one game. We are to represent the information on the Venn diagram. How many students play both games? How many students play football only? And how many students play what? Hockey only. So whenever you encounter questions of this nature, the first thing that you are supposed to do is to fish out the vital information down. So you are going to write the vital information down. So the first one is what? In a class of 60 students, so we have number of students in the class. We have how many students? We have 60 students. Then we also have 40 students play what? Football only. So number of students who play football, let F represent what? Football. Let H represent what? Hockey. And then let H intersection F be the number of students who play both games, right? Good. So number of students who play football, we have how many students? We have 40 students. And number of students who play hockey, how many students? We have 25 students. And the number of students who play both games, that is H intersection F, we don't know. That is what we have to find. Find the number of students who play both games. So let X represent the number of students who play both games. You can represent this with any variable at all, okay? Now that we are done with the vital information from the question, we can proceed to draw our Venn diagram. So we have our universal set. Then we have, this circle represent the number of students who play football. So we have football 40. And then this circle represents H. So number of students who play hockey, we have 25. So the next region that we have to represent again is what? The intersection. We have X. Now we are saying that the whole of this circle is for what? Football. So if you are looking for football only, which is this region, what must you do? I believe you are saying that you subtract what? X from 40. So you have 40 minus X. The same thing applies to this particular region. If you have to look for students playing hockey only, it means that we have to subtract X from what? 25. So we have 25 minus X. So we are done with what? The first question, which says represent the information on the Venn diagram. And that is what we have done. So this is A. Good. Now, the question B says, how many students play both games? How many students play both games? We are looking for this particular region. And in our previous lesson, we were able to establish the formula or the equations or relationship between the regions. So we said that the universal set is equal to this region plus this region plus this region, right? So that's what we say. So we have 40 minus X, or let me write the formula down. So we said that should give us what? The universal set. This is the formula that we were able to establish in our previous lesson. So we have number of students in the universal set. We have what? 60. And then football only, we have what? 40 minus X plus what? Hockey only, we have what? 25 minus X. And then we have H intersection F, which is this region. We have plus what? X. Now the rest is algebra, addition and then subtraction. You realize that we have minus H plus H, so this will cancel that. So we are left with 60 is equal to 40 plus 25 will give us 65 minus what? X. We are looking for X, which is what? The intersection. So what do? We just transpose either this side to this letter to this side and then this to the other side. Our X is equal to what? 5 students. So the number of students who play both games are how many students? 5 students, and that's all the intersection. Now we are done with B. So this is B. Let's look for C. How many students play football only? So we have C, I, football only. Football only. So we said that this region represents what? Football only. So football only is equal to what? 40 minus X. But we have already established that the number of students who play both games are what? 5 students, and that is what? X. So we are going to have 40 minus 45. So we have football only to be what? 35 students. Good. Now let's move on to C, I. The number of students who play what? Hockey only. So we have hockey only. So we know that this region represents what? Hockey only. And that region is what? 25 minus what? X. We have already established that our X is equal to what? 5. So we have 25 minus 5. And that gives us what? 20. So the number of students who play hockey only, we have what? 20 students. You see how questions on two-set problem is very easy. Let's take our last example. Okay. There are 40 students in a class, 30 read mathematics and 20 read English. Each student reads at least one subject. How many students read both mathematics and English? And then how many students read exactly one subject? Good. So as I said earlier on, the first thing that you are supposed to do when you encounter questions of this nature is to fish out the vital information from the question. So let's do that. So we have our universal set. So the number of students in the class, we have how many students? We have 40. Then let M represent the number of students who read mathematics and E represent the number of students who read English. So we have the number of students who read mathematics, we have 30. The number of students who read English, we have what? 20. And then let E intersection M be the number of students who read both words, mathematics and English. So let's represent that one as X. You can choose to represent this region with any variable at all. Now that we are done with the vital information from the question, the next thing that we are to do is that we are to draw the Venn diagram for this information. So we have our U, which is equal to 40. Now let this circle represents mathematics, which is what? 30. Let this circle represent what? English, which is what? 20. Now let's represent the intersection X. We know that this region is going to be what? 30 minus X, because this region is what? Mathematics only. So we have 30 minus X. The same thing applies to this region. We have 20 minus X. Good. So we are done with the representation of the Venn diagram. Very, very easy. Now the first question says, how many students read both mathematics and then English? And we have already established that if we are to sum this region, and this region together, it is going to be equal to what? The universal set, or the number of students in the class. So we are going to have so it means that we are going to sum this region, and then this region, and then we equate it to the number of students in the class. So we have 40 is equal to M only is this particular region. So we have 30 minus X. E only is this particular region. So we have 20 minus what? X. And then we have M intersection E, which is what? X. As I said, when you read this well point, it is a matter of algebra, KG work. So you realize that minus X will cancel positive X. We are left with what? 30 plus 40 will give us 50. So we have 40 is equal to 50 minus what? This X. So we are looking for X. So we have our X is equal to 50 minus what? 40. So we have our S is equal to what? 10 students. So the number of students who reads both English and mathematics, they are how many students? They are 10 students. So we are done with the first question. Very, very easy. Questions on two sets, easy. Now let's look at the second question. How many students read exactly one subject? So we want to find the number of students who read only one subject, or exactly one subject. So realize that this region represents students who read only mathematics, and that is what? Only one subject, exactly one subject. And this region also represents the number of students who read English only, and English only is what? One subject. So to find the number of students who read exactly one subject, we are going to find this region and then this region, and then sum them together. So we have M only, that is mathematics only. We have what? 30 minus X, and we know that our X is equal to what? 10. So we have M only to be what? 20 students. Now let's look for the number of students who read only English. So we have English only. We have 20 minus X, and we know that our X is equal to 10, and then we have 20 minus 10, that gives us 10 students. So the number of students who reads exactly one subject is going to be what? 20 plus what? 10. So we have I, and that gives us what? 30. That is that. So this brings us to the end of today's lesson. I'm going to write some few tutorial questions. Kindly pause the video. You try your hands on them. Okay.